Hello, friends. Thank you as always for being here. This is take 3 of this episode. The first 2 takes, as I started talking, I felt that I wasn't entirely dropped in, that I was kind of speaking from a headspace of ideas instead of a embodied space of sensing from the field what wants to be shared. So before jumping in, I'm just going to take a moment to feel my weight in the chair, feel my breath. I'm recording this from Salida, Colorado, which is a small town in southern Colorado, about 4 hours from where I live in Santa Fe. And I'm here with some colleagues from Nonprofit Finance Fund for a convening that I'm helping facilitate. This is my second convening in about the last 4 days. The last one was in Newark, New Jersey, so I've been ping-ponging around the country a bit. And it was really nice coming up to Salida to simply drive, not have to deal with airplanes, drive through these beautiful mountains filled with aspen that are exploding into golden color as the season changes. And when the leaves change and the colors change like that, it's always a um, indication that those leaves, right, they're about to let go, they're about to float down back to the soil and being composted to support new life and to help the trees get through the winter. So it's always kind of a moment that inspires reflection, seeing those leaves of what's exploding into color so that it can be let go. There was a big learning I had at the convening I facilitated in New Jersey this past week. There was probably about 40 people, maybe a little bit less there. And this is a group of incredible organizations dedicated to really helping support the Newark community, particularly young people in the community. And for years, and we did this at the convening as well, they've been kind of talking about their partnership and sharing information. But over the course of the morning, kind of the first half of the convening, what emerged or what popped up was a genuine desire for deeper connection and for opportunities to learn more about each other's work. And so in the afternoon, instead of doing what I had planned in the original convening design, which would have been kind of more conversation or planning looking forward, it felt like what the group really needed, what they were asking for, was an opportunity not to look forward or to build upwards, but to deepen the root system of their connection. And so we did a really, really simple exercise or activity called Asks and Offers, where everybody who had a concrete need wrote it on a big piece of posted paper. And we posted them all over the room, and then we all walked around, and anybody who felt like they might be able to address one of the needs just wrote their name and email address. And it was so simple and so powerful to witness this group of people, probably for the first time, really see how they might be able to support each other in concrete, small, actionable ways. And it got me thinking about, or reminded me about, the necessary ingredients for change, whether that change is systemic, organizational within a team, or even within an individual. I think we're acculturated to look for these big breakthrough moments, right? In personal transformation, it might be this huge, big moment of awakening, very dramatic, where all the illusions fall away instantaneously and suddenly you're in a brand new world. For organizations or communities, it might be a huge breakthrough. And those are valuable. Those absolutely happen. But the actual work of change is small and granular and part of a daily practice, expressing a need, allowing our partners, our community, to show up to meet that need if they're able to, in whatever way they're able to. It reminded me of something that I believe was shared by a guy named Dave Snowden. If you're in the systems change world, you've probably heard of him. He created or developed what's a framework called the Cynefin framework, which I believe is Welsh. But it's a really powerful framework for sense making that helps us distinguish between situations that are complex, complicated, simple, or chaotic, and how we might make sense of and navigate each one. But the thing that he said that really resonated with me is, if you know what your desired state is, whether you're an individual, a system, a community, whatever, then the question to ask might be as simple as, what is one thing I can do right now that will bring me closer to the desired state? So in the case of the convening, the one thing that we could do in that room that was available to us was to make asks and offers, was to then share events that the groups had coming up, to be able to not just see it on a piece of paper or in an email, but to hear the voices and the passion that people had for their events, whether it was a coat drive or a community gathering, a festival, a fair, even a class on filling out taxes, right? Whatever it is, to hear it shared in the room creates those small filaments or threads of connection that over time build into a thriving network of trust. And then you can put the structures, once you have that foundation of trust, you can put the structures on top of it, right? That lead to community or system-wide change. But I think where a lot of organizations and a lot of communities and a lot of cohorts miss the boat is they forget about those small daily actions. So a classic example at a much smaller scale would be an organization that is scaling up. They are a small team, a small organization, and they're starting to get bigger and bigger and bigger, and maybe they're having some growing pains. And instead of pausing to have the conversations that would create those threads of trust and relationship upon which a powerful organizational structure or culture could be built, they go straight to tools, right? Maybe they get a project management tool. Maybe they get a brand new reporting structure. But maybe people haven't had the chance to really feel into their relationship with the organization. So we're treating people as widgets. I think that's what's emerging right now. This idea that when we don't take the time to engage in those small daily actions of connection, of making bids for connection, making asks, making offers, when that is not part of our culture, then we're dehumanizing each other. Then we are saying, oh, we are functional parts of a machine, and that machine may be oriented towards, whatever, a software as a service company. That machine might be oriented towards social change. Well, when it's oriented towards social change or systemic change, if we don't slow down enough to build the relationships, we're just going to end up replicating a lot of the same energies and values and dehumanizing actions of separation that are generally embedded in many of our systems and organizational cultures. And this also pertains to individual transformation, right? Often we'll go for the big swing. I'm going to change my job. I'm going to move to a new city. I'm going to start a new relationship, end a relationship. And those are like big changes. Or I'm going to go do plant medicine and I'm going to feel what it is to be part of the eternal oneness of the universe. That is life-changing. Every single one of those is literally life-changing. And if it's not supported by small daily actions, it could be as simple as drinking more water. It could be as simple as spending 10 minutes delighting in the miracle of breathing or the miracle of physical movement. It might be pausing to really enjoy that taco instead of stuffing it in your face. Maybe that should, whatever it is. That same idea of what is the one thing you can do right now, today, that will bring you closer to your desired state. And then keep doing that. Keep building a new way of being. This feels particularly significant in this moment where so much is changing. So much is coming at us from the political sphere, the economic sphere, the social sphere. All of these stories that we're inside of are changing, are shifting. The rules are changing all around us. And so some of those big transformational demonstrative moments might not have the impact that they used to have or that we would like them to have. And so in those moments, coming back to the daily, to the breath by breath work of change, even though in the midst of all of the chaos that we might feel like we're swimming in, that might feel ineffective or like a cop-out. It may also be the most powerful thing that we can do to change our minds, to change the way we live our lives in the world. And when enough of us do that, just like way back in the second episode of this podcast, when enough of us do that, enough of us start to change our direction, we become like a movement of ants, a line of ants marching towards some new destination. But not because we know we're part of a movement, just because each one of us is moving, breathing differently, starting to exist in the world in a different way than the one we've been used to, maybe for our entire lives. So in some ways, making those small changes takes even more courage than bungee jumping, jumping out of an airplane, walking on hot coals. Those are peak moments. We need to fill in the space between peak moments with those small threads of connection, small threads of change that over time create a whole new world. So I'll just share that question from Dave Snowden again. What is one thing you can do today, a concrete small step that will bring you closer to your desired state and further from the state that you don't want? Thanks for listening.